Jennifer, I don't know who Jennifer Thompson. Oh, that must be her, Tony's son. Do you want?
Good afternoon, everybody, and good evening to those of you who are watching in Norway, and possibly it's still good morning for some of you who are watching in California. We're very glad to welcome you. My name is Kent Gilbert. I'm the pastor of Union Church, and I'm in Berea, Kentucky. I was very honored to have a chance to know the Spring family through their parents who lived here just as I was entering service here some 20 plus years ago now. And it's just been a delight to be able to share a little bit of time and space with all of the family. But it was always a great pleasure when Cornelia and Tony would come through town on their Verney travels. And so it's a deep honor to me to be a part of today's service. As we're gathering in, you may see me looking at screens because I'm controlling a few things on either side, but I hope that won't be distracting. And I hope that we can have together in this new reality the same kind of community, even if we can't do it in the same kind of way. Your presence here, I know, is deeply, deeply appreciated. Today, we'll be using the Zoom format, as you can tell, and I wanted to make sure that all of you knew about the chat box, which you may find at various points on your different devices. But if you're watching on a computer, either a Mac or a PC, you should see at the bottom of the screen a little button that says chat. If you press it, it should open up, and there you can see people who are, you may type messages to one another, and we'll use that later in the service. I'll be asking any of you who would like to share special memories or thoughts to use this as well. We'll save the chat for the family and for everybody who would like, so you can share whatever you'd like there. and we will invite some special things later in the service. Also later in the service for Cornelia today, I wanted to do a special celebration of the light that she has always been. And so if you have a candle or an oil lamp close at hand, you might wish to enjoy that at this part of the service. We'll light some candles here, and I'll invite all of you, if you'd like to participate by lighting your candle where you are. Of course, you're always welcome to simply to enjoy the light that's going to be on the screen as well. Today's service is meant to be one of both a punctuation mark. As I spoke with Tony, we talked about how this is not the end of the stories we will tell. Rather, it's the beginning of remembering. But it is, of course, a milestone. It is a marker. It's a place in time where we recognize that something precious is no longer with us. And Cornelia's life and light was extremely valuable and touched so many of us, and so many more than are simply present with us now. We'll be recording the service for those who weren't able to be with us presently. And so I hope that it will be a blessing no matter how we find ourselves in today's service. As we gather in, as I say, if you found the chat box down there, you might want to type in and say hello to folks so that we know that you're here. But also, I hope that you will gather yourselves in as we prepare ourselves with just a little centering, beautiful music. Bjorn's prepared a beautiful piece as we've gathered in. Bjorn is joining us from Norway. So thank you, Bjorn, for this. We'll ask you to unmute and please lead us in this beautiful composition. This is a composition that Bjorn composed entitled Bortreist, and in Norwegian, and of course in English it translates to gone. Bjorn, you'll need to unmute. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful music for a beautiful soul. Today we want to have a couple reflections and share a lot about all the gifts that Cornelia brought to us. So I'd first like to invite Julia, who is Cornelia's younger sister. Julia, are you there? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Now, can you hear me? No.
Yes, you're good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. We are told we have a unstable network connection. None of you guys are moving, so I hope we are, Rick and me. It's good to see everybody here. There was a choice between reading this and having it be very smooth and speaking it and having it be hesitant. So I've chosen the latter. In 1950, our father received his big professional break in Seattle. And we drove across the country in the northern tier of states in late winter of that year. I was 4, Cornelia was 8, and Cynthia was 11. And we were all packed, plus a lot of luggage, into a Ford 2-door black sedan. So I think of our parents as taking a big leap in many ways by taking this thing from my father. For Cornelia and Cynthia, I would say, remained a New Englander at heart, maybe because she was older. But Cornelia and I really valued growing up in the Pacific Northwest. Among other things, first of all, it just gives you a different perspective on the world than staying always in the same place. And also, I know we both gained our love of water sports there. For her, boating, I don't know if she water skied. I swam and water skied. As PKs to the uninitiated preacher's kids, the 3 of us were always on very good behavior at events at church and other church-related events. Home was not so smooth. It was not the sort of ideal family that some people made us into. Large, loud displays of emotion were not appreciated. Cornelia and I had a lot of sibling rivalry. She was closer to Daddy, I was closer to Mommy, and we each wanted what the other had without giving up what we had. And our rivalry was sometimes loud and more often sneaky, I would say. I do remember Cornelia learning how to box score baseball, listening to the Rainiers, and I'm pronouncing it like the mountain, not like the weather, the Rainiers baseball team. I'm not sure whether they ever went to a game, but I certainly remember them doing that. We did have fun, and most of the fun I remember is actually not in the house. There was a Christmas ritual, which is that we didn't open our presents till after a Christmas dinner at about noon, an eternity. So Daddy would take the 3 of us down to Lake Washington to feed the ducks while Mommy was cooking. I understand that Tony and Cornelia kept up that ritual. One time we were quarantined for split fever, actually, and a neighbor or a friend who had a Samoyed named Mitzi lent us brought the Samoyed to us every day, and Cornelia and I played in the yard with it all day. Another time in the front yard, we blew rice out of straws and wound up with a rice paddy by the end of the summer. Another time, two of us walked about, didn't tell anybody we were going. We were probably 7 and 11, maybe 8 and 12, and walked to about 5 miles to over a bridge on roads which didn't have sidewalks, something our mother, who was a native New Yorker, viewed as scandalous. And finally found somebody who let us use their phone to call home. If we got in trouble, I don't remember it. Also, as a family, we took long trips, often 2 months long, July and August, every few years. Most often to Florida, Massachusetts, Maryland, Maine, to see relatives and friends, and sometimes, a couple times to California and New Mexico. On the whole, those were very good trips because our parents were more relaxed, I think, being away from the phone than other times. I think all three of us have appreciated traveling that way. We went through a lot of states. We saw more state houses and historic markers than being allowed to stop at roadside attractions, but still it was an important thing for our family. Cornelia was always popular. She had lots of friends. Her popularity in middle school translated into the nickname Corn Brains, which shortened to Corny in high school, and I think for quite some time thereafter. At home, we called her Cornelia, or sometimes childhood nicknames, Kenna and Cornel. Tony says that one of the first things she told him was to always call her Cornelia. I think she's the only one of the three of us, at least I speak for myself, not for Cynthia, who could have carried off the name Cornelia because of her height, her beauty, her sociability, her charm, all those things. In high school, she got lots of awards and honors. I see that one of her high school, maybe two of her high school friends on that are here, so maybe they could detail that more. And I don't know as much about her, obviously, since she went to college. Although one thing I do want to say, when the first Christmas she came home from Bryn Mawr, the young men teachers of our high school, the ones who taught topics like contemporary world problems and humanities and things like that, found it the perfect time to show up and discuss world events with our father. I was a little jealous. He was in high school. I was actually a sophomore in that high school at that point. I'm going to switch now, and I am going to be speaking in Cornelia's voice, if I can find it. This I will read. What she wrote for her 50th high school reunion, class of '69. So now the I is Cornelia. Sometimes I wonder what I did in the first 30 years after high school. I went to college near Philadelphia, was in India for a year on a Fulbright, came back to Seattle but couldn't find a job, was offered one in Cleveland, worked in the arts. With a guitarist boyfriend, traveled on concert tours in Europe and visited Segovia. Dated intermittently an improv comedian, Tony, who later became my husband. Moved into a boathouse in a small lagoon. But when I look back, it never seems quite real. The last 20 years get real. Tony moved to LA and I started visiting him there. Worked with Christo in Paris and California. Funding cutbacks in the arts led me to investment advising, surprisingly rewarding, never static. An LA energy healer met Tony and insisted to us both, "You must marry, you must." So we did. Our wedding was the last performed by my 92-year-old father. His identical twin gave me away. 6 months later, our reception at the Lagoon became the Wacky Wedding, a comedy reenactment with Tony's fellow improv comedians. Then a search service called Tony about his son. Huh? What son? Totally unknown to him. Bjorn, a Norwegian musician, came to LA and DNA confirmed he's the product of a brief relationship in Cleveland, born and adopted in New York City, raised in Norway. Now married with kids, a son, Cornelius. He comes less to the US and we go there more. We also go between Cleveland and LA 3 times a year, often driving. Things are very good and very real. What next? Who knows? Like Seattle poet Theodore Rothke, I learn by going where I have to go. I'm going to conclude with a story from a family reunion on Cape Cod about 30 years ago. Sarah, my daughter, who was then age 5, Jennifer, who was 20, Cornelia's other niece, Cynthia's daughter, and Cornelia, who was, I think, 47 at the time, spent a few days playing together. My only rules for Sarah were sunscreen, no drowning, and get her home for a reasonable bedtime. I'm not sure what all they did during that day. I know that those days. I know they went on a whale watch. I know they buried each other in the sand on the beach and took Polaroids to show us. I also know that Sarah came back exhilarated and exhausted every night. A few days later, Sarah said to me, "Cornelia seems younger than you are." A little offended, I bit my tongue and said, "Yeah, Cornelia is fun, isn't she?" And Cornelia was fun. There was always fun, adventure, a little bit of flurry, friends around her. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was lovely. Thank you. What a great insight to the older Cornelia that many of us met. Good to have those reflections. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I think it would be good to hear from Jennifer Thompson Spring, who is Cornelia's one of those nieces. So turn it over to you.
Thank you. I wanted to write something awesome and fabulous and about Cornelia, and it turned out I just couldn't figure out exactly what to say. I can tell you that when I was a little kid, she was tall and fabulous and glamorous and beautiful, and I was always excited to see her. My brother and I were always excited for her to visit, but she'd always sleep till like 9 o'clock in the morning, so we had to wait until she got up. We couldn't wake her up, and she was always a lot of fun. And I've gotten to know her a lot better as an adult because I've gone to visit her and Tony so often in Cleveland, and I just love Cleveland and the whole area, and they were always fabulous people to visit, and it was awesome. What I did write that I think, yeah, I'm taking off my readers to read this because they're not right. What I did write is something that will always stick with me, though, is the time 4 years ago when I was visiting Cornelia and Tony. I was lying in my bed out on their screened porch. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I was reading a book. Cornelia came and stood in the doorway looking at me. I glanced up, and she said to me, "The more we love you, or the more we know you, the more we love you." And I love you too, Cornelia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. There is so many ways that we're all connected. And each of us carry some part of that with us. So I hope that you're thinking and maybe would want to put something later after some of these reflections. We'll have a slideshow. And then after that, Tony's asked that if any would like to share a short, brief reflection, you can either do that in the chat, or if you'd like to do that on the screen, we'd make that possible. But I'd like to turn it over to you, Tony. Our hearts surround you. I know that this has been an exceptionally challenging last several months without Cornelia, and have to do so in the midst of a pandemic has not been easy. I know it hasn't been simple. So we'll turn it over to you and whatever it is that you would like to bring.
Okay, excuse me. Hopefully you can hear me, yes?
Yep.
Okay, great. I knew Cornelia for 43 years. We were married for 23. We had many ups and downs, mostly ups though. We had so many wonderful memories to share. It's very difficult to kind of narrow down what to say in this today time. Two things that that first come to mind though are some of her qualities, and she had many wonderful qualities. The two of which that I'd like to talk about today were her perseverance and that very elusive quality of grace. As far as the perseverance goes, that was in an exhibition daily, but the two times that it was most noticeable was in her overcoming of pancreatitis, and earlier in her working career when she had a sudden job loss and she had to get essentially a new career, which is when she started in the financial services industry and became a certified financial planner. Cornelia, I first saw this priceless spring smile in 1977 in an arts management course at CSU. I learned very quickly that Cornelia really loved the arts. At the time, she was the director of NOVA, which was the new organization for visual arts, a large visual arts organization. Prior to that, she worked at Case Western Reserve University, where she set up the Mather Gallery. But it was her support of the performing arts that impressed me the most, especially her support of this local improv group. After leaving NOVA, Cornelia became a CFP, and it was when a few years after she became a CFP, that she asked me if I would want to join her in her financial services industry. And I'll tell you, I'll be forever grateful for her for helping me make a career choice, which turns out to be one of the smartest decisions I've ever made in my life. As many of you know, Cornelia had pancreatitis, and it was after pancreatitis, after her recovery from pancreatitis, that she decided to go on a walk. But knowing Cornelia, it just wasn't any ordinary walk. It was a 75-mile walk in 3 days. One of the first 3-day Avon breast cancer walks for breast cancer research. I asked Cornelia, I mean, what made you pick such a long, 75 miles in 3 days? She said, well, it's a beautiful walk all along the coast. And I thought to myself, where Cornelia sees beauty, I see nothing but a really long walk. I asked her, well, where do you guys sleep at night? How's that work? And she says, well, that they're going to camp out. And I asked her, when was the last time you camped out? And she said, never. I loved her sense of humor. We had a lot of great laughs. There were so many marvelous years that we shared together. I feel so very, very fortunate to have found her. She was my best friend, partner, soulmate, the love of my life. Thank you.
Amen. One of great great pictures have been collected and they've been put together in this wonderful thing by Ken. So thank you to that. I have it for you now, and hope you can see and hear this and enjoy this. After the video slides, that might be a great place to place any of your thoughts or reflections, words and ideas, thoughts that you'd like to place. You can either type them in the chat, or if you'd like to, when we come back from the video, just if you go down to the bottom, you'll see there's the reaction signs. You could let me know you'd like to say something by clicking one of the reaction buttons, maybe the heart button, and then I'll know to select you and unmute you. Here's this wonderful video now. Great pictures. What a powerful testament to an amazing life. And what a powerful testament to an amazing family and set of friends. All of you here are so important in that wider, greater, deeper embrace of a person's life and love. If there's those who would like to, if there are any who would like to share and would like to speak, would love to have you at this time bring a word if you want to, or if you would rather, you can type something in the chat. If you'd like to, maybe you can click the reaction button down there at the bottom. There's a heart. It looks like this. Or you can also just wave your hand at me, and I can make sure to spotlight your video. Bev says she would like to speak. Let me find Bev right here. Go ahead and unmute.
There. Okay, can you hear me?
Looks great.
Okay. I've known Cornelia since middle school, and I have so many memories of her, and all of them have to do with how open she was to new things, new ways of seeing things. She was always astonishing me with the ways she would react to things. And I thought I would just tell one story that I don't think I've shared with other people. There are a lot of them that I have shared with other people, so I was trying to pick one that I hadn't. In the summer of 1966, she visited my husband and me, and we were both high school classmates. She came to visit us in the little trailer that we were living in near the University of Washington, where I was doing some research that summer. And she had just returned from India not too long before, and was at that time working as an advisor to international students at some college, and I can't remember which college, maybe somebody else remembers. And she was describing to us putting on a welcoming party for some students from a country in Africa. I think it was Nigeria. And she decided that to welcome them, she would make a Nigerian stew. So she got out a recipe, and she didn't have all of the ingredients, but she substituted what they called earth nuts for our peanuts, which are supposed to be the closest thing we have. And she, worked really hard making this stew. And then the Nigerian students came, and they, tasted it, and they said, "Oh, this is really interesting. What kind of dish is this? Where is it from?" And she said, "Nigeria, it's supposed to be from Nigeria." And she said they reacted by saying, "Oh, yes." But she said, but what they really meant was, "Oh, no." But I was so struck by her reaction. She seemed, the way she was telling it, she was bemused by it, and perfectly open to, not having succeeded in impressing them with her Nigerian cooking skills. And instead of being mortified, that was her reaction, to be bemused and open to a new way of seeing things. And so all my memories of her just, they still keep challenging me to be more open. And I treasure that about Cornelia.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Are there others who would like to speak or share on the screen? You're all welcome to do so in the chat. And of course, this will not be the last time to get to share stories. As I mentioned to some of you at the very beginning, this is really a punctuation mark, but it's a comma. It's not a period. This is the beginning of the remembering. This is the beginning of the storytelling. This is the beginning of how we carry forward all of these precious and amazing gifts that were so evident in Cornelia, but in some way, through your memory, they've been passed to you. They've been passed to each one of us. Memory is a powerful thing. It can break our hearts, but it can also give us life. She was, in fact, a light in this world. All of the qualities that you've mentioned have been on display in the brief windows of time that I got to spend with her. It's been a tremendous privilege to get to know all of the Spring family. I was a brand new recruit to this church here, Union Church in Berea, Kentucky. And when I first got the chance to meet first Cornelia's parents, and in fact, Janet's memorial service was one of the very first that occurred as soon as I moved to town. And that meant that I got to spend a lot of time with Chad. And that meant, as his health declined, I got to spend some time with all of the children and all of the extended family. So for that privilege, I'll be forever grateful. They are all resourceful and bright lights. And Cornelia exhibited all of those qualities in her own inimitable style. Richard said that he'd like to speak. Let me find Richard and I'll unmute you and invite you to speak. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Richard. As maybe I'm Beverly's husband. I did not know Cornelia in high school, really. I knew her in the casual sense that people know people, other people in high school, but I didn't really get to know her till many years later. But I have a memory I think I never told anyone about, maybe not even Bev. I went to Yale, which was an all male school, right? All boys, right? And we would go off, and people would arrange trips like to Smith College or to local connections through roommates and so on. And I was so disappointed in the kind of relationship I could have with anybody that I met in those situations. One time I invited Cornelia to come to visit me from Berea. And so she agreed. So she came up all the way from Philadelphia to New Haven, Connecticut. And we hung out and we had a really good time. And she was a real person. She's not these fake people that I was trying to associate with. She's just so real, so genuine, so caring, so interested in things, as many people have mentioned. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, as we continue our thinking, this is the time when, if you have a candle with you or a light, you might want to bring it close. I'm going to switch our view to this beautiful candles behind me. We've lit a candle to symbolize the wonderful light that Cornelia was to us. That central oil lamp there, a reminder. One of the things, the tradition here in Berea is that whenever we've lost somebody, we place an evergreen in the midst of the congregation to remind us that God's love is evergreen for us, that there is a divinity that shapes our end, rough hew them as we may, as Shakespeare wrote, and that it is an evergreen, growing love, a deeper, wider life. It doesn't fall away with the seasons, even the season of our passing. And so we place a central candle and an evergreen, and of course the flowers of summer and spring. But as we think together, what I'd like to do now is light and remember some of those qualities that Cornelia surrounded us with. We remember in all of her many gifts, we remember her intelligence, her wit, her perseverance, her creativity, her incredible ability to persevere. Her work with artists, her ability to find beauty in nearly every place and in every person, her curiosity, her fun, her grace, the flurry she brought with her, that incredible smile that all the Springs have, her authenticity, the ability to be real with everyone, her ability to achieve, her resilience, her incredible bounce, and her love, the love that she had for her family, for her friends, and for all of the things that you've putting down, your memories, whatever they might be. As you light your own candles, we take this moment to give thanks for that light, all of that light. And we take a moment to make space for our grief, for the loss. For no flame is truly eternal. And while we have lost the light of Cornelia's life and living with us, the light she leaves us burns bright. In our stories, in our memories, it can never be fully extinguished. There is no way to diminish the light that is passed on, because once it is passed, it neither halves the light that it engendered it, nor diminishes when the next one passes it to the next one. Light can only increase in this way. And so each of you now bear something of Cornelia's spirit. Each of us carries something of these gifts, if in no other way than by their example to strive toward, but also in the ability to exhibit them as we may and to pass them to others. May her memory be for a blessing. May her light be a guide. And may her spirit be at peace and at power, now and always. Amen. As we conclude our services, I want to invite all of you to remain after the postlude, which is, of course, Vivaldi's Spring. And after that, I'm sure Tony and the rest of the family would really love to share with you. We'll all unmute our mics and we can talk in a burbly, wonderful babble of confusion and delight, because it is in each other's company that I think Cornelia delighted. All of us here are here because she reached to us in some way and dragged us into her orbit of amazement in this world. So as you carry your own flame, your own candle from here, when you carry this light with you, don't keep it sheltered. Don't keep it to yourself. This is my only request to you. If there has been a gift, then don't squander it by keeping it. Keep it by spreading it. And may the power and grace of all that is holy and divine surround us in our own lives, in our own deaths, and in the gifts we leave to others. This we pray, this we know, this we hope for. Amen. I'd like to just invite everyone to open their microphone if they'd like to, or to share with one another. You might be able to see one another better if you click gallery view, and that'll allow you to see everybody who's on all at once.
Yeah, thanks, Kent. Appreciate it.
Great pleasure.
So I just wanted to share, I was thinking about how, you know, Tony and Cornelia have been a part of our Christmases for decades. You know, we all get together for the holiday, and it's really great to have a sister-in-law who you can be with, who you don't have to worry about whether she likes what you're cooking, or whether she likes the way you decorated your house, or whether she cares that you, you know, didn't get out of your cooking clothes and into your holiday clothes before we sat down to eat the dinner. And I mean, when you think about how strained in-law relationships can be, it's a huge gift that all those years, I never once felt that way with her. And I always felt gratitude.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Which sisters?
I think it's Deb, who's the one from Cincinnati. Oh, maybe not.
It's Aunt Monica. She's
That
from
was Aunt
Cincinnati,
Monica.
but it's Monica.
Yeah, that's
Tony's sister.
Monica from Cincinnati, yeah.
We're very close.
But of course, she's in Ohio, in Brunswick today. I mean, where am I? Brexville.
Brexville. Oh.
Oh.
Well, it's great to see everybody.
Likewise.
Yeah, boy, a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. Hello, Mary. Good to see you.
Oh. Hi, Tony. This was so perfect. It was, and Kent, where, I mean, it was so right for Cornelia.
Thank you.
Beautifully done.
Well, thank you. Again, I'm glad you're able to join us.
Well,
Tony, could you say,
Okay.
sorry. Tony or Bjorn, could you talk about how you're more about your trip to Norway and things like that, and Bjorn's trip to the U.S.?
are we unmuted? No, we're on.
Don't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Bjorn?
Yeah. I thought it was lovely to meet Cornelia when I did the first time. And I remember when I got back to Norway, I told everybody that, hey, man, I met my father for the first time in my life. But you know what? He had a beautiful wife as well. And I want that kind of wife myself one day. I said, that's the kind of wife I want.
Bjorn, it's so Bjorn, it's so nice to see you. That was
Thank
Julia.
you. Likewise. Who is talking? Oh, Julia. Hey.
That was Julia.
Hey.
Congratulations on finishing your doctorate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Rick, Julia's husband. Tony, I just want to say I was really moved by what you said, and I could see all the emotion in you. So I was really touched.
Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I really do. Thank you.
Oh,
I wanted
oh, go on.
I was just going to tell a hopefully quick story about when we first got together with Cornelia and Tony after they were married. It had been about 40 years since I had seen Cornelia, and we had lost touch with each other. We didn't know where each other was, but we finally managed to get connected again. And we happened to be living in Western Pennsylvania at the time, about 3 hours from Cleveland. And so they came to visit us. And among other things, we were talking about, Rich and I were talking about our love of Norway and our many trips to Norway and how we had become passionate Scandinavian folk dancers, Telespingar, a dance from Telemark, and they seemed so interested, so very interested. But we couldn't figure out, yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's unusual to, you know, have such an interest in Norway, but why were they so interested? And then we found out about a month later that Tony had just heard from Björn. And it was so new that they just didn't feel like they could talk about it. And even Cornelia managed to keep the secret. Except that we did have that question mark.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. It was really terrific. Yeah. Yeah, we had a big interest in Norway. There's no doubt about that.
That's neat.
Anyway, I'd like to say that it was a beautiful ceremony. It was, I was kind of struck about how beautiful it was. And I'm so glad that I was able to and asked to participate. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you for that lovely piece of music. I really appreciate it.
Björn, is there any possibility of getting that motorized song that you composed and played? Get it from some to hear it again?
I can share a recording of it later. Okay. I'm glad to do that. I can share some kind. Maybe I'll send it to Tony, and he can distribute it to all the participants. Excuse me?
So did you have Spotify?
Yeah, I could, but I'm not sure if I want to release it there yet. Maybe that's for later. I'm going to make a special version for all you guys.
Jennifer.
Exclusive version.
Haley, I don't know who she is. Maybe she's another nation.
Yeah, Julia, that's you're thinking. I think you're reacting to Haley. That's Monica's daughter.
Hi there.
Oh, okay. I guess we can't whisper.
Yeah, whisper. No, we can hear everything you say.
Where are you, Haley? It was nice of you to join us.
Actually, really synchronous because I'm on my way to Olympia, Washington right now to see.
Oh, no kidding.
And so, like, right when oh gosh, Cornelia's sister, not Cynthia, but what's her name?
Julia.
Julia. Right? She was like sharing her story about how they like moved to Washington, and they were outside of Seattle. I was passing a sign that said like Seattle 50 miles away, and I was just
Well, that's pretty amazing. You're very well. That's Cornelia's old stomping grounds, so to speak.
Exactly, and spending time here, it's really no surprise at all that she grew into the amazing person that she was coming from this place. The energy out here has affected me so much already that if it was with me since day one, that's some good lifeblood, you know. But yeah, it's really lovely to be out here, and I'm happy that I was able to check in. I just got back into service, so I was able to see the whole ceremony. It was lovely.
Oh, good. Stay safe. Yeah.
Well, I met Cornelia in 1960. 1960. And she was a year ahead of me in college, and my parents brought me up to Bryn Mawr, and I got out of the car, and this tall, beautiful girl who was about a foot taller than me came running up, dancing. Cornelia didn't walk. She kind of danced on her tiptoes. As tall as she was, she had really little feet. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
and
she did.
Like she was about to dance. Anyway, she came dancing up to the car, and we looked at each other, and we both had on the identical striped skirt. I mean, identical. And it was a really peculiar skirt. But we we were dressed like twins, except she was a foot taller than me and brunette. But we got to be really good friends. Even though she was a year ahead of me, she was one of my 2 closest friends through college. And we were in the same dorm, which was a small dorm, and her room was always full of people. You're not surprised to hear that. Nobody is, I'm sure. But she was just a people magnet. And, you know, people would come to tell her their problems and I don't know what else. But I mean, I kind of worshiped her, really. I mean, I pretended I didn't. I pretended we were just friends, but I knew she was just beyond anybody I knew in so many ways. So, oh, but Tony, this is just for you.
Thank you. Nobody else.
You can listen. But there was a woman in our dorm who was one of the cleaning women, and we were really good friends with her. She was really funny and smart, and she used to talk to us all the time and give us advice. So, and tell our fortunes. And she told us what kind of person we were going to marry, and you know, all like that. I didn't listen to her, and I'm divorced. But anyway, other story. But what she said to I'll say Corny. What she said to Corny then was, "It's going to take you a long time to find the right person, because and you find him, it's going to be wonderful."
Oh,
that's great.
oh, that's funny. That's incredible. Great story.
That's
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
cool.
Oh, jeez. Great story. Thank you.
Well, I agree. So there.
Well, Rick and Sharon, glad that you could join us. I know that we had a really memorable time with you guys when we shared our anniversary in December with you guys, and geez, it was really, really wonderful. And again, I'm glad to see you guys could make it.
I have to ask,
totally
was
our
Rick
pleasure.
Elvis in the Wacky Wedding?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. Oh boy. I had hair back then.
So was Jennifer.
I was
Yep.
in it.
In the Wacky Wedding.
Yeah,
I remember.
was there too.
We were saying how Sharon and I, how beautiful the whole service was, how happy that we were part of this, how nice it is to meet and see many faces of many people we haven't seen in years, and to meet Bjorn. Hello, sort of. And we just loved Cornelia. She was a bright spot in all our lives, and we love you guys. And and today we have a very rare gig today. We're gonna dedicate it to Cornelia tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, great.
For sure,
Good to
for
hear
sure.
that.
She'll inspire us.
Yeah.
And on that note, we do have to phase out. So
Okay. Well,
This was beautiful. Just everyone hearing all the stories. And Bev, you sound so much like Cornelia.
yes.
Your voice, I don't know if it's the accent or what, but you sound an awful lot like her.
We were like, we just loved it. And the music was beautiful, Bjorn, beautiful, pardon, and the stories.
Who sounds like Cornelia?
Bev does.
Bev.
I don't know if it's
Bev.
Bev. I don't know if it's because you were. I don't know. Maybe just the way you talk, or.
I was saying the same thing. You remind. It's something about your smile, or I don't know what it was, but I agree.
Energy.
That's an honor.
And Tony brought us pictures from the Wacky Wedding, so it took us all back. We were all
We
getting
did,
choked up.
yeah.
Oh, God.
yeah.
Will you share that video too with the photos and with the Beatles music?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it'll be available. I'll just have to figure out with Kent exactly where people will be able to access it.
Yeah,
But
we'll figure out. We'll put it on. I think eventually we'll be able to get it up to YouTube so that anybody can see it anytime.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that'll be really great. And for those that didn't make it too, so they'd be able to see it too. So
great.
And hopefully someday we will. I'm
Hey,
sure
Sarah,
someday we will.
Sarah, can we see Sarah,
Julia,
can you show us William, Sarah's,
I can go get him.
Cornelia's grandnephew, or is he asleep or out?
I'll get him.
What? Okay.
All right.
So I've kind of been sitting here trying to figure out what I would want to say. I haven't seen a lot of you in a really long time. Hello from Texas. It's very hot here. But it's kind of funny because when I think about Cornelia, you know, a lot of you are like, oh, I met her at this point. I met her in college and I met her as a child. Like, I've known her my entire life. Like, her and Uncle Tony had already been dating for, I don't know, like 30 years when I was born at that point.
Yeah, it's probably 30 years now.
So, you know, it's funny because it's just, she's such like a big part of growing up. Like, she was always just there. It's not like, oh, I got to see her every once in a while. Like, any family function, like, she was always there. And I just remember always thinking she was so cool. Like, she was so artsy, and like, she was always down to do anything. Like, when me and Kenny were kids, like, we wanted to play a board game, she was on it. Or if I wanted to, you know, draw a portrait of her, she sat and she was super into it. And like, she was on board for everything. And I think one of the things that really sticks out to me the most is, so my family, like, food is a big deal. You know, Aunt Monica talked about our Christmases, like, everything we do is around food. And what I remember most about her is she hummed when she ate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was one of my favorite things. Like, you knew that she was just like in her element and happy because it didn't matter. Every time she ate, she hummed.
That's right, she did.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Jennifer, because when we got together after 40 years of not finding each other, you know, of course, both of us had changed a lot in those 40 years. But we were walking along and she started humming, and I thought, oh my God, that's Cornelia. Because that's what she did in high school.
Yeah, I think it's the thing that sticks out the most. And I mean, this past Christmas, I usually do a lot of the cooking in the family. You can ask everyone around. I always have little sous chefs, and I cook a lot. And this past Christmas, we were in Cincinnati, and I was super sick. Like, I don't know if it was allergies. My face was humongous, so I was out of the kitchen. And like, it takes a lot to get me out of the kitchen. And now, like, I'm super thankful for it because I got one-on-one time with Uncle Tony and Cornelia, and they told me how they met. And it was just, I'm so fortunate now because like, that was the last time I got to hang out with her. So I've never been more thankful to be sick in my entire life.
Wow. That's awesome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Julia, I just wanted to ask you if you've heard this before, and this relates to the humming. And I don't know who.
Yes.
But here's the thing. I don't know who told me this, but it must have been a family friend who said that they were just completely almost hysterical because they were having dinner with your parents and Cornelia, and I don't know if you were there or Cynthia was there, but the Springs were all humming.
Oh.
They were all humming a different
I
tune.
don't hum. When you say that, I have some memory of my father humming. We made a lot of noises, subtle but noises. Hey, I want to show off my grandson.
Yeah.
There's Sarah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi, William.
Shoot yourself, Sarah.
Hi there, William.
Oh,
Hi, William.
hi, William.
There he is. Oh, now we can see him.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, William.
Hey, dude. How's it
Hi,
going?
buddy.
Hi, William.
He has a Clifford that Cornelia sent him for his birthday in November, and he just started getting very attached to it.
Oh.
He rubs it on his face. I mean, it's a stuffed animal, but he rubs it on his face.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Aw, that's awesome. Hi, buddy.
Picture of you two. Oh my.
You into it?
I remember, this is Rick again, I remember several nice things from the wacky wedding, but certainly one of them was Jennifer knocking over a chair and saying, I'm carrying his golf bag. I mean, I'm carrying his baby.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I have,
Yeah.
so my mom sent a text because she's having some technical difficulties, but she said she wanted to send that when she was young, she met all of Uncle Tony's girlfriends. And after meeting Cornelia, she just pestered him constantly for years to get back with her because no one ever measured up to her.
Oh,
Oh,
that's interesting. Oh, yeah.
That's really cool.
Which, I mean, duh, how do you compare to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Have a couple photos that Uncle Tony shared with me. I don't know if you can see
Oh, yeah. That's a
Oh,
nice
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Cute.
my little bowl haircut. But like, look how cool she is. Like, even
Yeah,
Yeah.
always.
like that's something kids are wearing now, and this was what, 1990 something.
That's awesome.
Jennifer, I remember you. Jennifer, I remember you and Sarah. This is Jennifer G. Remembering you and Sarah at the wacky wedding. You must have been like 12
I think I was
and 15,
12.
11 and
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. Okay, so Sarah was, I don't know, younger. And the two of you were playing with a couple boys in the water on their shoulders. And and you know, your parents were keeping an eye on you, but you obviously were having a great time. That's a memory
It's
I
funny
have
you
of
mentioned that
you.
because
One of many I have of
this was
Sarah.
back when the tide was different. You had to swim out to the barriers, and I remember going up and over one of those rocks, and I still have a scar on my hand from one of those rocks from that day.
Oh my God. That's funny.
But I remember that. God, I remember that very vividly.
Oh, well, this was awesome. I think I'm gonna bow out, but this has been a lot of fun. It's nice to.
Well,
Tony, I'll talk to
thanks
you.
again, Jennifer.
Of course.
Miss you, girlfriend.
I know. Same here. And there's hi David, hi Julie, hi everyone. I gotta go. I'll talk to you
Bye.
later. Oh, bye, Mom. All right. Hold on. There we go.
Goodbye, people.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Together.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
sharing.
Tony, thank you so much for this. What a delightful gathering.
And thank you, Kent. I mean, couldn't have done it without you.
It's a community. It takes a village. and a village idiot. That's me. Sorry.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, well, you all, this is great. I'm gonna stop the meeting at this point so that we can build the recording and upload it. And as soon as I've done that, Tony, I will let you know.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Kent.
Peace be with all of you, my friends. Peace be with you.
Bye-bye.
Peace, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye. Yeah. And there was Adrienne right there.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Good seeing you again, Bev.
Good to see you too, Monica.